something I wanted to say.
Hello there, health coaches. So I have something special for you today. Marcy Morrison is here to share her expertise around corporate health coaching. You know, that's when you're actually getting hired by the company itself, not individuals. So it's one really cool way to build a health coaching practice. And before we get into it, I just want to plant a thought in everyone's mind, just because this has been coming up a lot lately. There are many ways to build a successful health coaching business. There's no one right way to do it that's going to work for everybody all the time. And that means you don't have to do all the things. Can everyone just like exhale? Because you might find that one health coach is super successful, getting tons of clients, really killing it with social media. Great. Maybe another health coach isn't using social media at all and finds success through something like corporate wellness. So my point is, there are so many different options. I'm never here to try to overwhelm you with them or to tell you that you have to do them all and do them all at the same time. Absolutely not. But I want you to get a taste of what all your options are so you can try it when it makes sense for you and see what works. Now, that said, we're diving into a topic today that so many of you have had questions about. For years, I don't really think we've ever hit this topic square on the head before. So if you're here live and you have questions about corporate wellness, please put it in the chat area. And thank you so much for joining me today, Marcy.
Well, thank you for having me, Michelle. I love your community. I love what you're doing. These people who health. If I had someone like you when I first started out in health coaching, it would have been so helpful. So I think you're all in good hands.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Well, I was actually wondering, how did you get started as a health coach? And then how did you get started doing corporate work?
Well, I, like a lot of you, went to IIN, and Michelle, I don't know if you did, when they sent you like an iPod, like that little iPod that the whole class was laughing.
I was not, I was earlier than that.
Oh, you were, so you were actually live?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I came the year after. So anyway, I went to IIN, and I had a series of very extremely traumatic events right before that. I had lost my entire family to different illnesses, not necessarily preventable. Some, anyway, I was obviously devastated, and I had owned, before I became a health coach, I had owned a personal training wellness center in South Florida for 11 years. And I took we had a huge number of clients because it was just right place, right time. You just get lucky with something. I was very lucky there. So we took about 150 appointments a week. I hired a bunch of people. I was on the news every week because I pitched them. I'll just do fitness tips, which exploded my business. And when I had my son, I could no longer work 70 hours a week. So I sold my business, and then I had some tragedy in my family, and I decided to become a health coach. And I really wanted to reach more people because I didn't want to see anyone else go through what I had just gone through. So I just said, I'm going to do corporate wellness. Didn't even know what it was. I had done it. I had had a corporate client before. It was a big one too, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it was a big, famous sort of client who owned a company. But I didn't really know anything about it. I just said, oh yes, I do corporate wellness. So I started really studying corporate wellness, and I became a corporate consultant. And my first job, actual job where someone hired me, was a large insurance group. And in the United States, wellness programs are very tied to health insurance because our companies pay for the health insurance. And of course, they want healthy employees because it's ridiculously expensive. So sort of baptism by fire. I had 100,000 employees that we were responsible for. And I started wellness programs. And after that, I became a consultant on my own, and I was hired off my LinkedIn page by a big Fortune 500 company to do wellness consulting. And I have been doing that ever since. I've never turned back. I've never done one-on-one health coaching. I've done a lot of one-on-one sort of wellness, weight loss, but from IIN and what I learned, I've always done corporate. So one of the things I do say all the time, and I agree, you don't have to do all the things, but I think it's something that a lot of these health coaches are missing that they kind of, in my opinion, should take a shot at. And it's not as hard as they might think. And it's not as intimidating as they might think. So if I can do it, they can do it.
Well, what I love about what you just said, and everyone, you should hear this part loud and clear, regardless of where you go in your business and how you get there. You started before you were ready. You were like, yeah, sure, I do that. And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
figured it out.
Well, you know what I say to Michelle is that when you become a health coach, you have the title of health coach. Whether or not you've ever coached anybody, you're a health coach. So I just said, I'm a corporate wellness consultant. I had one corporate client, but it was so many years before, it wasn't even really the deal. But I just said, that's what I do. It's the title I put on myself. And at first I thought it was intimidating because of course we all sometimes have imposter syndrome, but for whatever reason, I was so ready to help people after what I'd been through that I didn't even worry too much about that imposter syndrome. I just said, I'm going to do it. And it worked out.
That's
150,000 employees later, I'm still in the corporate consulting business.
Okay, so let's talk about this because I know everyone's interest is going to be piqued. When I started my health coaching business, I immediately connected with the people that I knew in HR, like from companies that I used to work at. Sometimes I would have a friend or a client of mine connect me with their company and with the HR people there. But I will say that pickings were kind of slim. And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I was doing 1,000 things at the same time and totally overwhelming myself. So I don't think that my experience with corporate wellness is like a good one to try to emulate. I have done the workshops, I have been engaged with different corporate clients, but I want to hear from you. How do you suggest that, first of all, we make contact and get a foot in the door with the right people?
That's always the first question. It's always the best place to start. And what you did is actually correct. What I recommend is, here's the biggest thing I recommend, is that if you have any clients or friends who want to be clients, or most of them work somewhere, right? So that's the way to get in. Like you said, you knew someone in HR, or you had a friend who worked at a company who introduced you to HR. That is the best way to get in. And HR is typically going to be who you speak to when you are promoting a wellness program. So not always though. If the company has a wellness program and a wellness director, that's the person you talk to. Now, it can be hit or miss, but right now, especially, what we have going for us all right now is that when COVID hit and closed everything down, now everyone is used to doing things on Zoom and via online course or hybrid of that. You mentioned that in your group coaching podcast that you did. I highly recommend everyone listen to that one. I think you did it right before Christmas, because you can do hybrid. It's the same as group coaching. But now that the corporations are not expecting us to all come in and do the program live, it's opened the door because I have clients. I just got contacted with a client. I don't even know where they are. It's somewhere in Africa, but it's I don't even know the country. So we can do programs all over the world since COVID happened. So there are some silver linings like that. It's opened our world up. So if you were trying, and I do recommend trying to start in your own backyard, because you can talk about the company, the company, you might use their products or go to their bank or whatever their business is. So it's always good to start in your own backyard, but you don't have to. Maybe you know someone in California and you're in Colorado and you can work with that company, but you do start out with HR. I always recommend coming in with a program that's specific. The one thing I'm going to say is I'm always the one I say all the time when all the people who are teaching you, like Michelle, and you're teaching them one specific thing, like niche down. This is where I zag when you're saying zig, because when you work with corporations, your new niche is employees and their family members. So if you're a coach who does female hormones with women over 50 with 3 kids, your niche has to be much more broad. So it's employees, because in most wellness programs, they're not going to want to just have one demographic, women or men. So they want to open it up to everyone.
Mhm.
If you're doing level 2 or part 2 of your program, then yes, you can branch off into something more specific, but you're going to start out with something very broad, and I would say cast that wide net. So we'll talk
Yes,
to
that
two
makes
things.
sense because we talk about this all the time. So someone has that target market of, endometrial, women with
Yeah, yeah,
endometriosis. Well, you're not going to walk into PepsiCo and pitch them a program about endometriosis, but you could certainly walk in and maybe pitch something about women's health or, like you said, general, about
well,
employees and
general.
their families.
You know what's interesting, and you'll find, and so I want to tell everybody who's feeling intimidated, like, here's what I think people think when they go into corporate wellness. You're going to be sitting in front of the president of IBM and the president, like the vice president, and all the executives, and they're going to be dressed up, standing there looking at you. Well, those are very unlikely the people who are going to join the program, because those people can afford all of those services on their own. So they're getting those services somewhere else. They're getting personal trainers and health coaches and home cooking and all that. The people who are most likely going to join the wellness program are people who really, really need your services, but can otherwise not afford your services. That's what should light you up. You're not looking for people now who can afford your services. I have done programs, I could tell you story after story, but transformational programs from garbage collectors. And those are the people who always come. I used to do very big programs in front of big audiences for, say, a municipality I was working for, City of West Palm Beach. They had 1,500 employees. They'd have sometimes 150 employees come to my programs. And there would always be one time, and typically this would happen to be a little group of people standing in the corner. They were outdoor workers, dirty. And they would, after the program was over, the first day, one of them came up to me and said, "Are we allowed to be here?" So I know, it was like a
Oh,
knife in the heart. Those are the people you get to work with. Those are the people. And then, by the way, all you health coaches out here, your heads are going to explode. I finally was able to do a program separately just for them in their own area. And one of the guys who wanted me to work with him was eating a sandwich with, I think, Wonder Bread. They even make Wonder Bread anymore. It's white bread that has, no nutritional value, a Coca-Cola, some chips. And he said, "Oh, by the way, and I have diabetes." Didn't mention what, like, and I cut my foot like 2 months ago, and it's just not going away.
mm,
So it was like the transformation I saw with those wonderful people who didn't think they belonged. That's who you're going to get to work with. I promise you, you're not going to have these people who are going to be looking at everything you say going, "Oh, that's not right." I've had more people than not say, "Okay, what's a whole food?" So you get to teach basically 101 if you want. You can teach that basic stuff that we think everybody knows, but they might not. Those are the types of programs that are really going to be transformational for a lot of employees.
that's an interesting way of thinking about corporate wellness as a way to reach people who are not Googling for
That's right.
you. They're not listening
They
to
never
Dr.
afford you.
Hyman. Yeah, they really need it, but they're not ever going to get exposed to it unless we get into their corporate setting or the municipality, which I've never even considered as an option. When we think corporate, we think corporations,
Always.
but you could be working
One
for
of
the
my
city.
specialties is corporations. Right now, I work with 7,000 corporate employees in the state of Massachusetts.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you mentioned that companies are not looking for a very specific niche down topic to bring to their employees. They need something that's going to work for everybody. Can you tell us a little bit more about what do we need to know about these corporate clients? What do they want? What do they not want? What makes that HR person say, "Yes, let's do this"?
Yes. Okay. So there's some tips, and I think these will help you a great deal. First of all, the group coaching, it's very similar to any type of group coaching you do. You're going to have all different types of people, unless you're group coaching for something very specific, like you said, like endometriosis or autoimmune. But think about this. If you're doing a program, a general, like cast that wide net, half the people there will have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, inflammatory issues, gut issues. So pretend you have a bunch of people who know a little but may not know a lot, and teach a program that can transform their health from, "Hey, what's a whole food?" to, "Oh my gosh, I am going to try a Mediterranean style plan, or I'm going to get a plant-based program going for myself and my family. So you take them from knowing very little to feeling confident about food and choices and feeding their families correctly. So there are so many options for this, but one thing I will say that sells: weight management.
Yes, I was
Doing
gonna
weight management, of
say.
course. But here's what I do, and everyone who has ever worked with me says she's a bait and switch queen, because my weight loss program is basically optimal health, optimal, exercising, as a personal trainer as well, exercise, gut health, all dispelling all the different crazy diets. That's a good one to do. Talk about every crazy diet that's out there that people try to lose weight with, the Whole30, which we all know is actually an elimination diet to determine whether or not you're allergic or sensitive to foods, not a weight loss program. You can take people through a true optimal health program disguised as a weight loss program. Because if they're doing it right, weight loss will come, and it will come slowly and properly. It's over a lifetime. So you're calling it weight loss. And of course you want to put some weight loss, information in there, but you want to I say, and I hate to say it, but you sell them what they want and you give them what they need when in the program. So you can always throw things like that in. So if you say, hey, you talk to an HR person just like that, and say, listen, I am a health coach. I really want employees to feel optimal health, what that feels like. And I'm going to do a 6-week weight management program for your employees, because I know that's something they'll join. You can use these words. I know they'll join a weight loss program, but I really focus on optimal health in every area, including gut health, including inflammatory issues, including disease management like type 2 diabetes. You're not going to teach them, okay, you have type 2 diabetes, here's your prescription food. No, but you're going to say, hey, high fiber diets. You have to eat a lot of fiber. You have to eat plants. You've got to watch starchy carbohydrates. Same thing you're teaching basically everybody.
Yes. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I think of any specific health topic that a company's going to go for, we know they already do Weight Watchers inside of a lot of companies. So this is the next, like an upgrade to their Weight Watchers program.
And you and I, and we all know Weight Watchers. I'm sure it's very helpful, and they have rebranded because they realize that you could have M&Ms all day and just have a certain number of points. The whole point of what we do as health coaches is help people with their overall health. Weight loss is one component of it. So it's one component. I just do weight loss programs because engagement is a big deal. So if you can get a lot of people to join your program, that will be helpful. But detoxing, anti-inflammatory foods, how to start a plant-based diet, something, a topic that's kind of interesting and something gets a lot of play either on wherever you see it, on the news or on the internet. Do a program like that, and then work in all the things you want to talk about. Because here's step 2. Once you get in the door, and we're going to talk more about getting in the door, but after you do that first program, you're going to say, hey, to all the employees who participate, what do you want to see more of? Because I promise you that once they find they're going to consider you a trusted partner, they're going to want to keep you. I don't want to keep searching for new health coaches to do programs for me. Once I get a good one, I'm keeping them. And if I trust them, I say, just give me the details. Once it's like, just send me when you want to start, where you want to do it, and how long it's going to take, and what I'm going to have to pay you.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Let's talk about the pay you part, because I think this is the big question that, we're always, even if we're just working one-on-one with clients, how much can we charge? How much can we charge? I know if we're going to do like a one-time workshop, for example, at some corporation, what you will charge can vary greatly. You could do it for free. You could make a couple $1,000s, but maybe, a couple hundred would be average. What about this 6-week weight management program that you threw out there? What do you think an average size company would pay for something like that?
So I really think, so I have, I'm helping some other people get into corporate, and I have one person who, she did a one-off program and she was terrified. We are all getting nervous about throwing these prices up. So she said, I'm just going to do it over Zoom. It's only for 12 people. That's the whole company, 12 people. I said, but some companies with 12 people are extremely profitable. If they're doing,
Mhm.
if they're a hedge fund, they're, or whatever, a real estate company. So don't judge it on that. You don't want to price yourself extremely low because there is some work involved with this, of course. And you also don't want to listen to those influencers who will say like $1,500 for a 1 hour anytime you walk through the door. I don't believe in that either, because I think they'll close the door on you, and then a lot of them talk to each other. I speak in front of big HR groups. They do talk to each other. So just, I would say whatever you're charging per session for and I know you recommend they all do, packages. But say, let's just throw out the first time you do it, because the first price, like we all know, is not your final price.
Mhm.
But what you want to do is get your first one under your belt. Because then once you put that on your website or on your marketing materials, that I have corporate programs and these are the companies I've worked with, then you start raising your prices. So if you're doing a 6-week program, I'd say between $2,500 and $3,000, and that's Zoom. If you're going in person, it's different because you've got to add to it travel time and things you have to bring in. And, so the good news is keep it on Zoom. And here's the second reason you want to keep it on Zoom. The first one you create, just think about the first group program you might create. That's a lot of work, but you can rinse and repeat that same program with numerous corporations. So once you've got that program down, you can use it for a group coaching program, but you can also use that program again and again. So the first one might seem like, boy, I put a lot of work into this for $3,000. But once you start saying, hey, now let's go to level 2. I did, nutrition 101. Now let's go anti-inflammatory nutrition or, women's health nutrition. And then you can charge a bit more for that. So you can see how it's the same in your practice. You don't start out at the price you wind up with three years later, do you?
Of course, but that's a good starting point for everybody to think about, because it's so helpful. I know when you're staring at a blank page and you're like, how much should I charge?
Yeah.
But just sure, if you're going to do a one-time workshop, maybe it's a couple hundred. You're going to do a 6-week program, maybe it's a couple thousand, and that's just like a ballpark to start with. And it will depend on the company. Every company has a different budget, so sometimes
Yes, they do.
have a certain amount budgeted for these things. I always found that I had a better luck with companies if I hit them up for the next fiscal year, because if I was trying to get them to do something like November, they're like, oh, we already blew our budget for the year.
November is not a good time. Right now, we're heading into a sweet spot for purchasing for corporations, most who have a fiscal year that starts in January. Municipalities have a fiscal year that usually starts in June, so a little different. My municipalities, we do all our health fairs and that type of thing in May and June. But what I also want you to think about is if you go to these corporations, those people might want to work with you outside of this. Mm-hmm. If they say, wow, you're doing something I love, now the company is not going to have a problem with this. And I'll tell you why. They pay a huge amount of money to have wellness programs for their employees. And I've had so many of those people say, you know what, I want them to have some skin in the game. I want them to have some. So if you say, hey, I'm doing a program after, and I have a small group coaching program, I can do one-off coaching with you, just clear it with them first and say, I do this outside of corporate as well. Some of your employees have wanted to work with me. They're not going to have a problem with it. First of all, they can't tell their employees they can't work with you. You're not soliciting their employees every minute you're there. It's not like, but you will build a list. You'll be surprised. If you have 100 people there, they're going to be enthusiastic members of a list that you create or a group that you create. You'll be surprised. You can build quite a little audience there.
I love it. And someone just asked yesterday something about how the question was essentially, how do we target people who have the money to pay for health coaching? And when you think about it, if in corporate, everyone you're talking to, they have a job. So that's a really good starting point, as opposed to doing something at the library where people go to the library to get free stuff, right? Like that's going to just have a different crowd. Oh, yeah. And so you're right. You're going to have people that you do the 6-week program with. They think you're great. they want to work with you further on their own.
That's right.
They refer you. It's a wonderful way to build your network.
Oh,
And
it
there's just such
is.
quantity there. You're reaching so many people at once.
And that's the other thing, think about this. And I always think about the guy, Curtis, is the one who walked up to me and said, are we allowed to be here? The garbage collectors. I mean, but think about that little executive assistant who's barely making it, who's trying to figure out how to feed her kids because maybe she's a single mom. Like, you get to work with her. She might not be able to work with you outside of that corporation, but that lights me up. That's what drives me. I work a lot. And that's what keeps me going, is the people who could otherwise not afford my services, who need it and who have these big transformations. That lights me up.
That's really beautiful. Marcy, this is such an important topic for health coaches to be thinking about. Obviously, there are more steps involved. How do I reach out to someone? What should I say? Oh my goodness, I have imposter syndrome, all of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Where can our listeners go to learn more or to connect with you further?
So I am so soft sell on this. My big business is corporate consulting. And now I'm continuously bringing in, I'm starting, it's crazy. I'm starting a membership for corporations to try to help them get, like the smaller corporations that don't have $150,000 budgets to pay a wellness consultant. So I'm trying to create a membership. But I also have my corporate coaches collaborative. It's a very, like, I am not Michelle. Let's just be clear to everyone. I have about 90 people, but I put a lot of free stuff in this corporate coaches collaborative Facebook group. And I also have a membership where I help health and wellness professionals get into corporate. It's also very small because it's not a part of my business I ever thought I would start, but like you said, the questions I get, I did a big program with a guy named Stu McLaren. I don't know if you know who Stu is.
Yes.
I took his tribe, and all I was trying to do is start a corporate membership, and 50 people said, I want to learn how to get into corporate. So I started a little membership. So those are the two ways.
Okay, fantastic. So Marcy has a Facebook group you guys can join. You can reach out to Marcy if you have more questions about corporate wellness. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is making me so happy that we could bring this topic onto the show.
I'm so happy I get to meet you, and this was great. And thank you. And yes, any questions they have, you can send me any questions they have as well, and I'll answer them.
What is your email address? Can you just speak it for everybody?
Yes, it's marcy@healthyfitfamily.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcy. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Bye.
See you next time.